Hello, once again, it's Matt Davis. Thank you guys for joining us on the True Blue podcast. I'm excited to have today's guest on the program, as I always am with all of our guests. But today we have our athletic director, Dr. Cheyenne Trussell. Dr. Trussell, how are you?
Oh, feeling great. If I can get through this pollen, I'll be okay.
Well, I tell you, we were talking about that a little bit earlier. I said, if I didn't have to have sinuses, it would be a whole lot easier, but I know that's not how it works. So, but again, I'm going to give a little background. You're a graduate of Meridian High School. You came back to us last year from Starkville. Talk a little bit about your first, 7-8 months here in Meridian and what it's been like coming back home.
Awesome. As you mentioned, I'm a 1979 graduate of the Meridian High School and was a student athlete in my time here. But coming back home, this is my going into my 36th year. And when I say really love the best job I ever had, this is it. But what was unique about getting started, though, is that no formal training could prepare you for COVID-19. And so that was a big adjustment. And Dr. Carter and we sit and we talk because we wanted to ensure that our student athletes were safe. But for those that are not familiar with Meridian Public School District, we have roughly 26 sports, 40 sports teams, approximately 500 student athletes, and around 65 to 70 coaches in grades 7 through 12. And so what we all about is, and the student athlete is academic first. That's first and foremost. We always tell our student athletes that don't care how good a student athlete you are, academics is what's going to keep you going. And so we focused that, and that was one of the first things that I embarked upon, was to make sure to see where our student athletes were academic-wise. And so we was fortunate at the time to submit all of our varsity sports to MHSAA for the scholarly team, and all 20 of our varsity sports at that time were elected to the scholarly team at MHSAA, and we're hoping to improve upon it this year. For those that may not be familiar with some of the new sports that we brought back bowling. We have a new bowling lane, and so we reestablished that relationship. We also brought back indoor track for our student athletes. That's the kind of connection between cross-country and outdoor track when you normally have that down period. So indoor track, in which we competed in Birmingham, and archery. And archery is going extremely well. We have 24 of our students, as boys and girls combined, on the archery team. And as of yesterday, 22 of the 24 of what they use the term registered. In other words, they qualified for South State. So we're extremely excited about that. It's a little something for everybody. Now, esports have been going a couple of years. We didn't bring that back, but it's ongoing for people that may be more inclined with computer and technology. But also we have chess at the high school and the middle school, and we're extremely excited about that. And one thing we're going to do is we're going to tell the Wildcat story. And that's what we do when we talk to our coaches. We ask them to, hey, let's give the highlights out. When others tell our story, they may not tell it in the way in which we would do. We always talk about, treating our student athletes as though they're our very own. It's hard to go wrong when you have that personal investment within it. When we talk about some goals that we have set, one is always going to be a safe and orderly climate, which we are tickle pink in the changes that we see, because we got so many activities involved for our student athletes, and that it's for everyone from grade 7 through 12. We talk about increased participation, and even though it's a pandemic, we still have over 500 student athletes. I look for that to grow, and one reason we wanted to grow, because we know that it gives our students a chance to be more involved in structural activities. And so we want that. Now, it's another side to that. Anytime you increase student athletes, it's cost involved. For example, football, just to be example, you got a football helmet that's going to cost $150 or so. You got your pads and all that. But it's priceless what the student athlete in the community and that child could get out of participating in those sports. What we want to do is definitely our student recognitions. We're trying to wait and see if this COVID-19 continue to decline. If so, we want to do one of the major things, I think, and that is recognize our student athlete in some type of a awards night or banquet. We'll be creative, even if for some reason we can't. We could go Zoom, but we definitely want to be able to recognize our student athletes, and student athletes like to be recognized in front of their peers. We're excited about some additions to the to the facilities. For example, the weight room. We hoping to get a state-of-the-art weight room. To me, the weight room helps each and every sport. If you want to really grow your program, it's about strength and conditioning, and get back to the Meridian Wildcat and Lady Wildcat way of doing things on that. We also want to look at branding, continue branding our sports. And so we have some new features coming up with box scores and some other things that I think the community is going to be tickle pink to see, because we are the Meridian High School. We are the Meridian Public School District, and that's what we want to stress. COVID-19 set us back a little in some areas. I want to be able to get out more, and our sponsorships, be able to get, I'm old-fashioned, so I like to get face-to-face as much as I can. But right now, that's not doable, so we do a lot of Zooming, but it's getting to that point where we want to be able to get with our businesses, booster clubs. We are communicating with our parents through Zoom, but we definitely would like to be able to be a little bit more face-to-face. Some of the things that you may...
Well, I was going to say, if I may, we're talking about having something for everybody, for all students in sports. Dr. Carter, our superintendent, and myself, we were having a conversation a little bit earlier, and just talking about how athletics can shape a student's culture, their life. Talk a little bit about that and the role athletics plays in that.
Well, I'm an example of that myself. Even though I had good parenting, for me it was the structure that I needed. Athletics help build character, and then it's so much that goes into it. You can't win them all, even though we was fortunate enough to win all of our football games in 1978. But if you play on any team, whether it's basketball, you'll miss a shot, you'll miss a layup, you do a foul or whatever, what do you do? How do you rebound? How do you have that team concept that's in there? And I relate it to our student athletes like the parents. Our parents may not like getting up, going to work every day, but you have to get up, and sometimes you have to kind of fight through it. And so I tell any of our parents, and I mention it all the time to our administrators, that we need to make sure that we have these students involved in activities. It's the best thing going. And I like to tell the students, if you're going to be successful, start at home. Don't let mom and dad have to tell you everything to do, because it's all about being able to follow directions, whether you're on a sports team, whether you're in the classroom, whether you're on the job, all of it comes together.
Well, and I was going to say, something you said there, start with yourself, having those athletes show that initiative. That goes back to something as a district, something that we talk with students about all the time, and with our Leader in Me initiative that we have, or I say initiative, it's actually just a way of life. But, the first rule with Leader in Me is being proactive. If I'm a student, if I'm getting up and I'm getting in that weight room by myself, or if I'm taking that extra bit of lap after practice or running those stairs, I'm not having a coach tell me that. So being that athlete that is there to go that extra mile to want to get better and want to improve. And I think that, like you said, athletics plays a big role in that.
Right, absolutely. And what we do, we also encourage our student athletes to participate in multiple sports. Research shows that the more sports that the student athlete participate in, the chances are likelihood to be very successful. I know at the previous school districts that I've been in, and I'm sure it's the same, I'm going to research it, but at the previous school districts, whether it was Hattiesburg or Starkville, when I researched it back the past 10 to 12 years, the valedictorian and salutatorian were student athletes, And so it just goes how they're able to prioritize their schedules and be able to still get it done. I mentioned earlier that we have 26 sports. All of our sports are in 3 times a year, so it's a method to the madness. At the beginning of the year, it's called fall sports, and most people just think of football. But not only do you have football that's taking place, you have cross country, you have volleyball, you have swim, and then we cheer, and then we move on into what we call our winter sports. And our winter sports, most people think of basketball, but you have soccer, you have powerlifting, you have bowling, and then now we're getting into our spring sports, even though we still have our archery, which is a winter sport, and our powerlifting still going. They're going to South State. But in our spring sports, we really have more sports that time of year. You know, you have golf, you have tennis, you have outdoor track, fast pitch softball, baseball. And so it's something for everybody. So I encourage all of our student athletes, and even if you're not, find a way to get involved because it's something for everybody.
And that is true, and talk a little bit about athletics, having sports for everybody. I know that was one of your big goals, when you first came aboard, is you wanted to increase that opportunity, like you said earlier, for every student to have something to do. Talk a little bit about some of the goals or the initiatives you wanted to do or see accomplished this first year. I know COVID kind of halted a couple of those, like you said, but talk about some of the ones that you see that you're most proud of.
Well, the first thing I always is about student achievement. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. But we want to also be able to increase our ACT scores. We want to be able to increase the students taking the ACT. We want to also increase our, enhancement of our facilities. Some are short-term, some are long-term. For those that looked at Ray Stadium, one of the things we did, we brought back the history where you could see it on the east side of the stadium next to the high school with all of the championship years there. I don't know of any other high school that quite could boast about that many championships, even though that's football. Meridian High School has approximately over 50 championships in all the sports, and very few schools can match that. Also, we wanted to talk about being able to increase our sponsorships. We talked about branding our sports. We talked about the recognitions of our student athletes. Those goals seem like they're going to be repetitive, but at the end of the day, that's what we want to be about. We want to be about making the main thing, and that is the academic first, then the student athletes. And I can remember a time, and it's coming back real soon, is that whenever Meridian High School drove up on a bus, it was like, uh-oh, here it comes. We know that it's a process, but at the end of the day, it's not about just championships. Sometimes it's not about, reaching your goal. It's what you become along the way. And we wanted to be, from participating in athletics to be able to be a better student, a better citizen, to see how teamworks work together. And at the end of the day, because you only go through middle and high school once, and you want to be able to look back and say, hey, I had a great experience, And so that's what we're trying to shoot for. Long range goals coming. We hope to, in not so distant future, to be able to have the softball and baseball field on campus, The student athletes deserve it. Years ago, the baseball facility was on campus. And so we're looking to pretty much bring that back. In the short term, you're going to see the gymnasium at Meridian High School, the floor. It's time for a new design. We just got air conditioning and heating, and I know that may not sound big, but that's humongous for a facility that's been without air for quite some time. And so those are what we call a game changer, especially for the sport of volleyball. When you're used to going in July and August, and now all of a sudden you're going to have air conditioning. So I have to give a great deal of thanks to our administration, Dr. Carter, the Board of Trustees, for approving that, along with Mr. Sims and his crew, because everybody worked together. We're the one sport that, in the one department that depends on everybody else, It's no way that we could do it without it. Without putting you on the spot, Ms. Mack, but helping you with you helping us market our sports, and being able to go to our websites, to be able to log on to our huddle, which I thought was a great feature this year, camera that was in the gym because of COVID-19, we had to limit participation within our facilities, and especially indoor sports. And so that huddle was another feature in which the parents could get a chance to see their student athletes. We was able to bring our middle school students basketball over and play at the high school gymnasium this year. And even though things are getting better and it began on the decline, I think we're going to be closer to 2022 before we really back to normal. And we're still a little ways out before football and tailgating. But if I had to make a decision right now, it would be probably limited or doubtful that we get to that tailgating part at this time.
Right. And, with the pandemic, you want to be as safe as possible because a lot of things are so uncertain, but you were talking a minute ago about some of the things that you've seen and instilling that Wildcat pride, and seeing that citywide, and bleeding over into the county even. One of the things I know you're proud of that we've done is we've established a Wildcat car tag. So we're starting to see folks pop up all over the place with that on there. And no matter where they are in the state, they can purchase that tag, and it goes back to benefit MHS. So talk about that a little bit.
We have the Wildcat license plate. You can purchase it at any tax collector's office in the state of Mississippi. It used to be $31, but I think it's $33. It's a chance to not only support but show your Wildcat pride. We way overdue, for that. We want that. That's what we're about, and we want to pretty much grow our facilities and our school districts and our participation, that we have everybody in Lauderdale County wanting to come to Meridian Public School District. And but I'll tell you what, since I've been here, I've been able to establish some good relationships and rekindle some relationships with the surrounding school districts. The early part of my career, I grew up and started at West Lauderdale, and then I ended up transferring to Meridian High School, and it was a great experience. But I get a chance to see from Northeast to Southeast and even Clarkdale, and realize why this area is so special, And so for me, just being able to have the opportunity to come back and be a part of this greatness that's going on and we're going to continue to build is monumental.
Well, that's good to hear. So is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
From the student athlete, just continue to do the right thing. Come to school every day. And I tell all of our students, I said, if you could do these 4 things, play hard every play. To me, that's the same as coming to school every day. Second thing, I don't care how hard you play, you should have fun. And that's when you come to school. It's the same way. You want to work hard, but then it's fun, and that's what these activities help bring schools to life. And the third thing, you go from playing hard every day to having fun. You have to stay in the moment. You have to stay focused. If you're on the field, you got to be able to do what the coaches ask you to do. If you're at school, it's the same thing. Be able to do what your teachers ask you to do. And then the last thing, when you play hard, have fun, stay in the moment, and finish. What I mean by finish is, if you're in a game and athletic-wise, you got to finish that game and strong in order to win. If you're in the classroom, you got to take care of your academics, because graduation is what it's all about at the end of the day. So if you could do that each and every day and not use any excuses. I was always told that excuses are monuments of nothing. They build bridges to nowhere. And those who use those tools of competence are masters of nothing. And so from that standpoint, what we want to do is to be the best that we could be. And we have an open door policy. Feel free to reach out. I'm looking to meet more of our parents and business community in the near future. But don't hesitate to give us a call. And for me, you could always reach me at 601-297-0091. That's 601-297-0091. And we're looking forward to taking it to another level.
All right, Dr. Trussell, well, I certainly appreciate your time. Appreciate you being on the True Blue podcast, and I know this won't be the last one.
Absolutely not. And I remind everyone to stay attentive to our websites. We keep them up to date, and then we're going to grow. So just, be what Wildcat is all about.
All right. Again, thank you guys for joining us for this edition of the True Blue Podcast. The True Blue Podcast is a production of the Meridian Public School District. You can download the True Blue Podcast in the Apple Podcast app, the Google Podcast app, or our website. Thank you again for listening.